What's up, YouTube? Welcome to my room studio. Basically, I'm going from one place to another. I'm trying to get a house, and so I have like all my stuff basically stuffed inside my closet. And then I put my little home studio. I built like a little home studio here. I'll have, maybe I'll show some videos or pictures of it later. But, long story short, I'm just, trying to get a house, and it'll be a better situation for me that way. But in here, you're going to see my bedroom for the time being, or my bed, and you might not see what I have on this side. But I have the mic here in front of me. I'm going to try and keep it off camera. And then since this is going to be a little screen anyway, and you're looking at my desktop, so, this is basically going to be my setup. I have to figure out how to better record the audio, because as of right now, I'm basically running the audio that plays on my computer and the mic at the same time, and so I can't mix it later, basically is what's going on. So I need to figure out a way to separate my computer audio and my mic audio. Even me putting my hand here is probably interrupting the audio, but I'll figure it out. This is my first one, so I decided to go with put my headphones on because I can't even hear myself or anything on the computer. So also I'm going to do another camera. I was trying to set it up earlier, but I'm going to have a camera of my keyboard. I have a Native Instruments Complete Control here, the S49. The bigger one doesn't fit. I went ahead and picked out a session that I did here for one of my artists for my record label. His name's China Black. He was able to get Chris Rivers to get a feature on this track. Chris Rivers, if you don't know, some of you guys aren't big hip hop heads. Chris Rivers is I misspelled his name too. That's funny. Actually, it's funny. Reverse, like a verse. He's Big Pun's son. And if you know hip hop, you know Big Pun, dead in the middle of little Italy, anyway, Big Pun was a beast, one of my favorite rappers. I'm Puerto Rican, so he was Puerto Rican, so you know how it is. I went ahead and made a beat. Originally, the beat was more, if you want to listen to this one. You can probably hear better here. So you see it was at 95 BPM, so you can hear that beat is basically 95 BPM. And so then I ended up trying something a little different. Let me go ahead and mute, oh, this isn't even on Snap. Oh, Snap, it's not on Snap. Okay, so I went ahead and I wanted to do something more modern, because everybody likes that trap sound today. So I went ahead and did, see, that's like halftime now, instead of how this one is. So the reason I did that is because, China Black, his situation is, I don't want to get too much into it, but, he got locked up a while ago, and, we're trying to put some money together to help his situation. And so he originally recorded this track in 2008 or 2009, and, the original was just dated. The beat was dated, and so I ended up just taking the vocals and making a completely new beat. And so, the main melody is, I'll go ahead and zoom this in a little bit, so I can break down the track a little bit better for you guys. So the main melody is this little, actually it's this one here. Very simple. Trap music tends to be kind of simple. And so, the melodies just tend to not get in the way. A lot of times, especially with like old school R&B-ish, like actual rhythm and blues, there'd be a lot of like rhythm, and there'd be like a lot of stuff in the way. And then rappers started sampling that. And then by sampling it, they'd be chopping it up so that way they could try and simplify it. Because with singing, there's notes, or words that are held out. I need to make sure I stay close to the mic. With singing, you're holding out notes. There's less words. And with hip hop, you're just kind of like always here, there. And so, the less you have in the way of that, the less it's just going to, or the more the words are going to come out. Or, you'll hear them and understand them better. If there's too much melody, that's what kind of gets in the way. And so, by this simple melody here, Even the one in the background, it's just an octave lower than I got here. This I actually sampled, I believe, from Logic. Sometimes I do that. No, I shouldn't say sometimes. Very rarely do I use the Logic. Logic alerts for some people that don't know Logic Pro. If you come here on, I think on the right side, I think it's this. Yeah. You can come in here and pick instruments and stuff and put them in the scale. It'll go to the scale that the track was produced in, and it looks like this one's an E major. And so it'll play it in that scale at the BPM. And for the most part, I don't like to use that as like a main melody if I do use something in here. Because if you use it as a main melody, someone's going to hear and be like, oh, I've heard that before. Or maybe somebody else used it. And so that's generally my advice. Don't use it for that. You know, in my case, if you put these together, the main melody, you know, this here, and then this little synth here, maybe this dark synth. I don't know what else is in here. This here. It's in the back. So I still have that problem with this. Anytime that I use, I forget, it's Exhale. That's the name of it, Exhale. Yeah, whenever I use it, I don't know if it's because I'm using it inside of Complete Control or what, but it gives me like a little crash on really heavy sessions. Technically, what I should have done is bounce these out. Instead of having the synthesizers, I should have bounced them out as like, just like I have this here, that's melody that I sampled, it's just an audio file. I should have bounced them out as audio files, so that way it's not only not loading the plugin and all the stuff I did to it, but it's just an audio file, so it uses less compute power. But in this case, it's just, I don't know if it's, you know, Exhale running through that software that I'm doing. I'm not exactly sure why it does that. But yeah, anyway, back to what I was doing. So that's basically the simpleness of this track. And then if you go to, you know, this is the 808. And so what I did to this is, you know, I did obviously my EQ, some distortion that actually comes with Logic. And these are my settings for my 808. I give it a little bit of, you know, this is what it normally would sound like. You might not hear it unless you got headphones on, but you know, when you hit that drive, it's gonna give you that distortion sound. Distortion is generally for guitars, but you know, it's used a lot in you know, modern trap today. Basically just so that you can hear the 808 melody on an iPhone, because a lot of people surprisingly listen to music on their iPhones or their Android, doesn't matter, whatever I should say their cell phone, like the speaker on the phone. So this is the, you know, the hats and the drums with that 808. Are fairly simple on it. Whoops. Some people might wonder, this is the whole purpose of the channel, is they're gonna wonder what I use to make my drums. So I use iDrum. It's no longer supported anymore, but you might still be able to buy it. It's by iZotope. iZotope makes all kinds of like mastering plugins and stuff like that, and so I believe it's iZotope. Let me make sure just before I go ahead and screw this up. I'm pretty sure it's iZotope. Yeah, it's iZotope. Just wanted to make sure that I don't give you guys bad information. I've had this plugin for a long time. When I switched to Logic from FL Studio, I missed being able to click my drums. I'm not big on like programming my drums much, even though I do have the Machine by or Machina, no one knows how it's pronounced, from Native Instruments, and I sometimes do, you know, my drums on there, but for the most part I like to click them. Why? I don't know. I guess because it's just easier, faster. So when I switched over from FL Studio to Logic, because I got an iMac back in 2011, I decided to find something that I could use that was similar to it. So with this, you can kind of sort of, this is the kick and the snares and so forth. And so you can come in here, click your beat, and then it'll use this as like a sampler to be triggered by MIDI. And so I love this plugin. And so, you know, with that, I'm able to do, this is my drums, and then I can come in here and I do my pads separately. Generally, I like to have the kick and the snare separate, and then the hat separate. If you could break down each hat separately, even better. I'm not even gonna lie, honestly. Sometimes I just don't even focus on it, because with hip hop, sometimes the mix needs to be better to carry the track, and sometimes you can kind of just get away with simple compression, and some reverbs and stuff on the drums, and then kind of just leave it be. In this case, it just happened to sound good, so I had no issues with it. And so I started it off with a main melody. I'm just gonna break a little bit down into the arrangement, and that should be everything that I'll explain on this track. And then I'll show you, I guess, Chris Rivers' verse, because I'm pretty sure some people are here to just hear that verse alone. So basically, I'll mute the vocals for now. So this is what I did. I started it off with a melody and that sample that I got from Logic, and then I did like a breakdown so that the beat kind of dies out before the beat actually drops. Or I should say, I did a breakdown before the beat drops, because the beat isn't playing at the beginning. It's just melodic. To break down to its core, so there's just a dark synth, and then the drums by themselves, and then after I think 4 rapping bars, is when, because this is a full 16, so after 4 rapping bars, then the 808, I bring in the song little by little, and I build it. Now, I want you to know that I don't always do this for all my tracks. I like to aim to build, especially for hip hop. Actually, in general, I like songs to build and then come back down. That's why one of my favorite genres is like progressive. And I should be more clear. I love electronic music, but I love progressive electronic music, like progressive trance or progressive house, which builds, then breaks down, then it builds and it breaks down. And, usually it breaks down slowly at the end. And so that's my favorite style of electronic music. And so, I try to influence that, or I try to put that into my music, because that's what I first started producing. And so in this case, I'm going to go ahead and put the vocals back on. You'll see how it kind of just builds up again, and then drops right before it to then hit you. And people are doing that in trap a lot. And so I like it, because then when it comes in with the beat and then the hook, it sounds really dope. You see how that in the background, it's just back there, the main thing you're hearing is that dun, 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 dun.
We getting money for show, we getting money from hoes, we getting money and gold, then reload it. We getting money from coke, we getting money from dope, we getting money and gold, then reload it. We getting money for show, we getting money from hoes, we getting money and gold, then reload it. We getting money from dope, we getting money from coke, we getting money and gold, then reload it. It's a problem in the hood, ain't no paper moving. It's time to take a trip, I'm on my way to Houston. I need to meet with Poppy, ask him what you doing. Got a whole empire you're about to ruin. I hate the feeling if it's...
So, I'll go ahead and play, you guys can hear this track on anything. I got it on every social media thing or every music streaming site you can think of. Apple Music, Google Play, Spotify, all that stuff. So I'll put the links on the bottom in the description. So I'll go ahead and play his verse, and then I'll go ahead and close it out. Thanks for watching.
We getting money from dope, we getting money from coke, we getting money and gold, then reload. I'm addicted to cash and I'm addicted to ass. I told her I was addicted, but she's addicted to that. That's facts, just get to the bag. You flipping them packs, I'm spitting them raps. Just double down and triple it back. Whipping the black, hoopty so I will not be recognized. Steady preaching the peace, just know the peace can be weaponized. Don't answer on the question, that's how niggas is jeopardized. Keep my circle smaller than the pussies, the pedals lag. That's dark, that's harsh, but it had to be said. I've been on top of my bag, that's why I'm packing the bread. Some toolies for the loose screws and back of the shed. My niggas like old thoughts hit the back of your head. I've been the greatest, haters can find a...
One more thing, my bad to cut off the verse. I know I hate it when I'm in the whip and I'm like really in my zone and then they stop the track. But since this is explaining how the track works, I went ahead and broke down the beat a little bit here. You can see how I stopped the hats, you know, and I like that kind of stuff. And I do breakdowns at the end of the verses, so that way it kind of just dies out. You know, and it kind of, you focus on the words, and then I do emphasis on certain words too, like you can see here where I did like, you know, some special effects like delays and stuff. So my bad, I'm gonna go back to the middle and then just listen for it, because it kind of gives you that vibe. One of the things you have to learn as a producer is how to listen to what other producers are doing, not to mimic it, but to understand the possibility of producing tracks. It's one thing to make a beat, it's another to produce a track. So you have not only all the instrumentation for the beat, but you also have the vocals that you need to produce. Sometimes you need to chop and screw them, or sometimes you need to pan them left and right and put special, you know, like I shouldn't say special effects, and to put like effects like delays and reverbs, like increase them in automation. You need to play with all that stuff, because that's what captures the mind. Like the listener doesn't understand what he's listening. All he knows is like, this is dope. This sounds really dope. So pay attention to that.
Dark, that's harsh, but it had to be said. I've been on top of my bag, that's why I'm packing the bread. Some toolies for the loose screws and back of the shed. My niggas like old thoughts hit the back of your head. I've been the greatest, haters can find a cause to debate it, but know that all your opinions is not affecting my payments. So keep your words to yourself. I keep my words to the playlist, you end up hurting yourself. And all we needed was patience, it's rivers.
We getting money for show, we getting money from hoes, we getting money in gold, then reload it. We getting money from coke, we getting money.
When the hook starts, I took off the beat.
Money from dope, we getting money in gold, then reload it. We getting money for show, we getting money from hoes, we getting money in gold.
You can hear on his verse here, on Chris Rivers' verse, you know what I did to the beat. You'll hear I cut it, I EQ'd it. I basically took off all the high frequencies. I cut the high frequencies out by using a high pass, and then you'll hear the drums here, and then watch what happens to them.
We getting money for show, we getting money from.
The vocal in that cut, it sounds dope.
Niggas like,
Especially since his verse is so in it, you know, like he's like very getting lyrical, like he's about to explode, you know. So it's the peak of the verse.
niggas like old thoughts hit the back of your head. I've been the greatest, haters can find a cause to debate it, but know that all your opinions is not affecting my payments. So keep your words to yourself. I keep my words to the playlist, you end up hurting yourself. And all we needed was patience, it's rivers.
We getting money for show, we getting money from hoes, we getting money in gold, then